What about the incidence of violence and the difficulties with the murder rate?
Right, and we do have a huge murder rate in this city, and I do not want to suggest for a second that people are not responsible for their own actions. But now, just a few things need to be noted here. One is that you have a city whose population has been told that your life is of little value, and we continue to be told that. So if the world, if the nation is telling you by subliminal messages that your life's not worth much value, then it's not much value to take another person's life. Secondly, if the only way that you can find some sense of dignity in your life is by shooting someone who's disrespected you, all right? Third is that I would look at this also as the product of centuries of racism and economic exclusion. I think that the entire community bears some responsibility in this issue. If you're being told that your education is unimportant, well, all right, so why do I take somebody else's life as important? If I've been uprooted from my home and from my family, and I've come back here, probably 30% of the children in teens in New Orleans are living without either parent, sometimes in highly inappropriate relationships with other adults other than family. So all of that tends to make one's life feel devalued. Dr. King, in his sermon, Shattered Dreams, talks about one of the horrors of slavery being that people were ripped away from their families. And in many cases, people here were ripped away. We needed to be ripped away. We needed to be rescued. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But we were put on planes and buses, and you ended up in Salt Lake City when you've never been north of Bunkie, Louisiana. Where the heck is Salt Lake City? And do not have the means to come back or anything to come back to. So our whole social system here has been destroyed. And many of the things like grandmother or auntie or whatever that, in a sense, gave structure to our life no longer exist. So yes, there is a horrible problem with crime here, but the kind of technical fixes of more cops on the street, which we need, or cameras on poles, all of which we need, those alone are not enough.
It's a hard issue.
It is a hard issue. And I wonder how bad it's going to have to get before those in power decide we're going to stop it.
The murder board represents names of every person who has died through violent means, originally in the parish of New Orleans, but we're starting to encompass the metropolitan area. It recognizes them by age, gender, and weapon. It was originally conceived in collaboration with a deacon candidate who came to me, a woman who was in training here, extremely disturbed with the continuing onslaught of murder in the city. She said, "What can we do? It's so overwhelming. I don't know what to do, but we've got to do something." One of the issues about murder is we think in terms of murder rate. Individuals become numbers. It becomes something systemically disordered that legislators, politicians, the police force have to address, and they address it by rate. How many murders? What is the rate? What is the comparative rate with other major cities? And we're the first to admit that there is some necessity in that, but we also lose track of the fact that these are human beings. Every person up there is somebody's baby. And to me, the symbolism of it is no less poignant than the story of the Blessed Virgin Mary, whose son died to violence. Doesn't take a leap. There were a lot of outcomes that we did not anticipate. Our motive was to convince people and to remind them that these are human beings. Nothing more. That was the whole goal. That was it. Nothing more. But you never know what the outcomes are. When a local newspaper ran the story, very day that it came out, I received somewhere between 10 and 15 phone calls from grieving mothers. Most of them consistently thanked us for remembering their child because they thought they were forgotten. Most of the people on that board, culturally and socially, are seen by some as socially and culturally disposable. The story that we always hear is, oh, well, that was a drug dealer. The implication is they had it coming. The implication for us is that was a child born into this world. How did they become what they are? How do young men, the perpetrators, become people who are so callous and cold to the world that they will willingly shoot somebody and kill them for simply looking wrong at them? And it's not all drug crime. You know, that's one of those red herrings. It's all drug related. It's not. A person once approached me who wanted to make it very clear to me and to the world on the radio that most of the crime, most of the shootings are not motivated by drugs. It's vendetta. I don't like you. You disrespected me. I'm going to take this person out because they're in my neighborhood. It's not all drug. It's not that easy. The whole issue is not easy. It's a lot messier than that. But we do it. Every Monday or Tuesday, I put the names on the board. Several ladies cultivate the names. They're usually buried in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th section of the newspaper, if they're named at all. We then go about the business. 3 or 4 churches in the city of New Orleans have agreed with each other that they will take 1 rose for each person murdered to several different institutions, all on the same day at the same hour, which is noon Monday. We take roses to the chief of police, the mayor's office, and the city council. Right now we're going to try and expand that to the DA. We also deliver with those roses a note that says, we're praying for you, we pray for the victims, we pray for the perpetrators. We know that this is difficult, know that our prayers are with you. Different legislators receive it in different ways. Some are probably a little skeptical, some think that we're somehow trying to undermine their authority or office, and some are very gracious. Some get it, some don't. That's okay. Every Monday, 9 people go out and bring roses. And we remember the dead on Wednesday night, and we remember the dead on Sunday morning that have been murdered. This week, we've killed 6 people.